closet gay men who have a wife and kids. What's your story, and are you happy? I'm yet another commenter who can't really answer the question directly. However, I am in the process of getting a divorce from my wife of over 10 years. We have 2 kids together. She is now dating a woman. After we separated last year, I suspected that she might be romantic with her best friend, who is an out lesbian. That scenario, when it finally came to me, seemed almost obvious. It answered a lot of questions. So one day I just asked her, and she admitted that yes, she and her pal are more than friends. Despite being in the midst of a protracted separation and divorce process, we've remained friends, get along better than we did while together, actually, and have talked quite a bit about her situation. She has told me that she is not sure where she falls on the sliding scale of sexual identity, but I think we both realize that she has always preferred women and was only recently able to admit that to herself. Her parents are extremely conservative and will not handle this news well when she finally tells them, if they even accept it at all. On the one hand, finding out that your wife is gay after years of unhappiness makes the dissolution of a long-term relationship a little easier to handle. In other words, the marriage simply wasn't gonna work out, and it certainly wasn't all my fault. I've told her that I will support her as she confronts the difficulties, that is, with her parents, that she will likely encounter as her relationship becomes more public. I want her to be happy, and our kids know and love her now lover, who I believe that my wife intends to marry in the future. On the other hand, when your ex is now in a very serious relationship that you witnessed form and blossom under your oblivious nose during marriage, well, that doesn't feel good, no matter her friend's gender. And while I want our young kids to be open-minded and accepting of all lifestyles, I can't help but worry that their mother's relationship will lead to some degree of confusion and ridicule down the road. As for me, I am now dating an absolutely incredible woman that has shown me what love is supposed to feel like. Maybe one day we'll all have the chance to part of a truly modern family. This last year has been a wild ass ride. Edit 40L. Dr. In the middle of an amicable divorce from my wife, who is now very seriously dating a woman. It's had its ups and downs. I have a friend who's gay and out. He married his best friend, woman, and they have kids together, insemination via a fertility clinic. They live in an open marriage with boyfriends on the side, while raising their kids. Been married 4 years and have a son. Very happy with my life currently and the direction it's going in. Never confronted my sexual preference until I was 13. I was in my history class and told myself that if I don't decide now then I'm just asking for trouble in the future. I admitted that I found myself attracted to the same sex, but what am I going to do about it? In my decision process took everything off the table, religion, family, friends, anything that would tell me how I should live my life because I wanted to find out what I truly wanted. I went through what outcomes I could choose since I'm not going to be a fence sitter and suddenly have a crisis down the road. I imagined life with a boyfriend living together. Sounds nice, I guess. We could adopt kids and maybe live in Seattle. Keep in mind that I was willing to give up anything, everything in order to live this way. I then imagined what would happen if I had a wife. Having my own children. Spending my life with the mother of my kids. Honestly, when it comes down to it I preferred this more. So that's the path that I chose and I never really had any issues about my sexuality. The way I went about this will probably make some people angry. But I'm truly living life the way that I want. I will probably be told things will change in 30 years for me based off of the other stories being told here. I don't the future, but I know I'm currently happy now. My dad is gay. He and my mom were together for about 15 years. And after lots of depression on his part, they got a divorce when I was only a couple months old and my brother was 7. He's now in a great relationship and has been for almost 30 years with the same man. He's happy, no longer depressed, and loving all that life has to give him. My dad is gay. So is my sister actually. But we had a great normal upbringing. My parents announced they were getting a divorce when I was about 21. I couldn't believe it. Total shock, honestly. I think last summer is when my dad finally came out. He was so incredibly nervous on telling me. He had no idea what I would say. I felt so bad that he felt that way. I just told him that I don't care. I just want him to be happy. We cried and hugged together. He was so relieved. It was a great bonding experience. I think we are closer now than when I was growing up. Plus his partner is one of the coolest guys I have ever met, and I couldn't be happier for the both of them. About a week later is when my sister told me that she was also gay. Kind of a unique situation, but as long as they are happy, I'm happy. Edit. Not me, but a guy I know has confided in me. He has a daughter in college and a son in high school, who recently came out as gay, but he is still in the closet. He is incredibly unhappy most of the time. At work and at home he cannot be who he wants to be. He is counting down the days till his son leaves for college, then plans on coming out and getting a divorce. A few months ago his wife accused him of cheating on her because they aren't intimate and emotionally distant. He hasn't cheated. He came out to her then, and while she was relieved he wasn't cheating and got an honest explanation for the distant behavior, it nonetheless shook her up emotionally. They are not so distant now, but it is still not a happy marriage. The only time he is really happy is when he is out doing nature photography or traveling, and he feels he can be himself. The situation is very depressing. He is a really kind and compassionate person, but is always feeling very down about himself, and guilty about possibly breaking his family up. My dad is gay and has 4 kids, and is still married to my mom. I don't think he's happy at all. He was raised in a religious household and still is religious, so I don't know if that's something he'll ever be able to fully embrace. It seems silly to me to keep living a lie, but he insists he doesn't want to live a gay lifestyle just because he's gay. I keep telling him to leave my mom and get me a fabulous gay stepdad and he just chuckles. Like I'm joking. So my dad was in the closet and had me and my sister with my mom. He used to be very moody, sometimes extremely angry while other times very silly and carefree. When I was 13 my parents got a divorce without any explanation. I didn't know there were any issues between them, but I found out a year later that it was because my dad was not in love with my mom and was gay. It was really just the worst time for me to hear that. I just started going through puberty, and all my life I was told by society that gays were bad and hateful words being spoken amongst classmates was normal. At that age everyone was immature and I was really scared that my friends would find out or something and I'd be ridiculed. It hurt my mom the most though. I couldn't imagine what she was going through at the time. Her last 15 years were just a huge lie, and she really despised my dad for years. At the beginning it was the worst, because it was a new territory for my dad and he wanted to tell the world about it. He hung a rainbow flag at my old house, had shirtless guy posters hung inside the house, posted pictures of himself at gay events with other men and trans people, etc. I was still trying to get used to my new life relationship with my dad, yet he was going full on out because he was so repressed all his life. All of these things made me extremely uncomfortable to the point that I was very reluctant to visit him every other weekend. I became antisocial and had a lot of self-esteem issues in high school. My mom was also depressed and we all went to therapy. Fast forward, now I am 23 and everything is fine. College changed me and made me a more charismatic and confident person. I no longer feel ashamed about my dad's sexuality and I am open to my friends and peers about his lifestyle. My dad changed a lot too. He is no longer moody, and instead is just always silly and carefree about life. He knows that happiness is what is most important in life, and I've learned from it. On the other hand, my mom has also completely changed. She is now in a same-sex relationship with her friend, and also kept this a secret to me and my sister. It is crazy because 10 years ago she hated what my dad became and used to talk down about his sexuality. However, I feel like my mom was just really lonely and depressed and then found happiness with someone else, who just happened to be another woman. TLDR dad came out of closet, mom got depressed and lonely. 10 years later mom is in a relationship with another woman. Edit, sorry, had no idea one of the words I used was offensive. I'm sorry to anyone I may have offended, I blame ignorant sad face. I have a friend whose wife came out a couple of years ago. She and him had been married for several years, high school sweethearts and have a couple of kids. My friend was devastated. He had his whole life planned out and thought they really had something special. The perfect fit. Apparently throughout their relationship she felt it was just wrong from the start, and when they started having sex, I kid you not, she told him it felt like he was raping her every time. They have all of the paperwork ready to complete a divorce and were planning on signing it and making it effective a while ago, but she is refusing to now, saying she isn't comfortable with it and doesn't understand the documents, despite the fact they have been working on them together cooperatively for the past 2 years. I could go on and on about what was said and what he told us, my wife and I, but let's just say it really pisses me off. My wife and I knew them in high school and I said from the beginning something wasn't right, and bam, here's what happened. My uncle, who knew he was gay from a young boy, was married and has 4 kids. He grew up in a time though where being gay was socially not accepted. He is in his 60s now and could never bring himself to come out. After almost 10 years of marriage to his wife and having 4 kids, the community around him started to become more accepting and he decided to come out to his wife. He sat her down and told her. Her response was me too. Turns out they were both gay, both in the same situation where they didn't want to worry about what would happen after coming out, and when they both knew each other was gay made things much easier. They are both happily with other people for 25 plus years now, but still stay very close as they went through so much together. I have a few stories to share. My cousin was a closet gay, was married to women for 20 years. Once he hit his mid-40s he came out and they divorced. They never had any children together and apparently hardly ever had sex. My sister's friend is a married closet gay. When he was dating his current wife they took a break. During that break, he came out to all his friends, hooked up with guys, and then went back to his girl. They have now been married for about 3 years and she has no idea about what happened during that break. Now for my story. I think my current boyfriend might be gay. Something is just different with him than with any guy I've ever dated. I can't quite put my finger on it. He never kisses me or touches me, but who knows? I guess time will tell. I just don't want to end up like some of these stories I'm reading here. Throw away, for obvious reasons. Late to the party too. I am a closeted bi man. Admittedly I'd say I'm 80% plus attracted to men, and I have a wife and high school kids. I always knew I liked guys, but convinced myself since I did like both that it was kind of a phase. I met a woman, we fell in love, yes, really, got married, and had kids. During that time, I had encounters with guys. Sometimes I'd go to an adult bookstore booth. A few times I found a regular friend with benefits to mess around with, via Ike or one of the primitive sites back then. I tried to be the best husband I could be, but every so often I'd find myself being intimate with a guy. Yes, I know. Whatever you're going to say to me, I've said to myself more times than I can count. I work really hard at being a good husband and father. I do most of the housework and taking care of the kids. The wife works long hours. I know that working hard at being a great husband and dad doesn't count as sneaking off and having sex with guys, but all things considered I guess there's worse things. I'm still married. The kids are in high school. As far as I know, none of them know. I still have encounters every so often. I still do love her, even though we're not intimate anymore. If I didn't love her, I'd probably break up for both our sake. Am I happy? Yes. And no. Teenagers are tough as hell. They're selfish little lazy money pits. And I'm speaking as a guy who has wonderful examples of them. People constantly tell me how great my kids are, even though they're at that special age when parents are dumber than broken bricks. The last few years, I have suffered depression and gained weight, and I don't have the willpower to lose it again. I've considered again and again just throwing my computer and some clothes in my car and driving away, and I have 3 standing offers of places I could stay if I did, places that include the guy offering. But as it stands, life's not bad. While I'm nowhere near being a 1% heir, or a top 10% heir, I have it much better than so many. I guess the worst part is knowing I'm living in a house of cards, and at any given time it could collapse. I've played out every scenario of tell her I can think of, and can't see any of them where I don't move out and get a divorce. So here I am, living a double life until something ends it. Does this answer your question? Definitely not a sarcastic happy face. Thank you for watching. Smash that like button like it's a
thick booty.
And don't forget to subscribe to OKPJ Dark if you like nice things, like new videos every day. See you tomorrow.